As we've been travelling further down the coast, everyone's been talking about Busselton. And now that I'm here, I think I can understand why. It really doesn't disappoint. It is the quintessential holiday town. But as usual, we're here to discover the best breweries and distilleries in town. On this episode of Last Drinks WA, we're headed to a dairy farm to check out Australia's first certified sustainable and carbon neutral brewery. There's no shortage of craft beers on tap. Join me, Madeleine Culp, as we explore Rocky Ridge Brewing. So stick around for Last Drinks Western Australia. Rocky Ridge have a tap house located just off the Busselton foreshore in WA. It's not too far from their main brewery, but we'll get to that a bit later. I'm heading inside to meet with the brand manager, Rick. Rick, thank you so much for having me here at the tap house.
Happy to have you here. It's nice to welcome you to the tap house.
Yeah, so how long have you been in this spot?
So the brewery started in 2017. We've had the tap house for nearly 3 and a bit years now, and it's kind of evolved over time. Originally, it was more of like a wine cellar door, and over time we've been able to kind of develop it now where you can get full-size pours and wine and stuff that we don't just produce ourselves.
Lovely. And a bit of a feed as well. Like
Yep. So we've got Margarita Burger Co. on site, so you can get all your food desires fulfilled.
So you can really settle in here for a good night, good day and a good night.
Yeah, and given that it's kind of like a refurbished home, it's got that really nice homely feel, so you can just catch up, chat to friends, have a beer, and relax. It's good.
Great location in Busselton too, right? Downtown, right near the beach.
So you can go for a swim and then make your way to the tap house for refreshment afterwards.
Sounds pretty sorted.
Yeah, it's good times.
Just 15 minutes down the road from the tap house in Jindong, you'll find one of the driving forces behind Rocky Ridge Brewing, self-professed all-rounder Hamish. So Hamish, where did this idea to start your own brewery come from?
So I finished uni, moved back down here onto the farm, and we were having discussions about what the farm's future looked like. Sat down and said, well, can we do it? And business plan said, yes, we can. So we got up and running. We had a huge idea to be as local as possible, so we wanted to use as many local flavours as we could, work with as many farmers as we could to take any waste products, but also any good products as well, to turn them into amazing beer.
Lovely. So that gave you the opportunity to grow your own hops and things like that?
Yeah, of course. So we are farmers and we wanted to use the farm the best we could. Hops grow really well here, so we got to sink our teeth into that and have a bit of fun.
And as you mentioned, this is a family farm, so what kind of farm are we on?
So we're on a dairy farm. We're actually transitioning out of dairy now and purely beef. So part of us as a brewery, we want to be as circular as we can be. Now we do bring in grain, but the spent grain that we have coming from the brewing process, we're feeding back to those beef cattle. My little brother's a butcher, so we're actually going to start making all of our own grain-fed beef here on the farm, which is going to be really cool.
Because you've got that really big sustainable element to your business. So how important was that for you?
Incredibly important. So we've always felt that everyone can do better, and it's up to all of us as individuals to do the best we can possibly do. For us, it started with big solar system and battery systems, and it's led to a more holistic approach to everything we do. So we're working with individual grain growers now out in Coolin to get best-in-class grain. So they've got the lowest CO2 input in Western Australia on their crop, which is then directly transferred to our beer, obviously. So our beers are far lower input than everyone else's, and it's just a nice, wholesome story that we can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going above and beyond most people too, to make sure all of that chain is accounted for.
We're doing the best that we can do.
This sustainability-first approach has resulted in Rocky Ridge becoming Australia's first carbon neutral and certified sustainable brewery. It makes me want to have my first taste even more. Great. And so this is your core range, although you said you've got some specialty brews that you bring out frequently and change around?
So we've got 25 beers on tap here at the tap house, and they're constantly rotating. These are kind of the mainstays. So we've got like a variety of different styles within our core range. Beyond that, we often have different seasonal releases and limited releases. So yeah, we try to keep it as local as possible, but play with some fun ingredients as well.
Nice. Is that where your inspiration comes for some of those changes that you make for the seasonal ones? Is it from local suppliers or seasonal? Like
100%, yeah, that plays a big part in it. So when we started out, we were a completely ground to glass operation. So we're growing all of the hops and malt on the farm. We quickly realized that wasn't going to be doable in a lot for the long term. So we shifted our ethos a little, where we're still 100% off the grid, still powered solely off battery power and solar, proudly carbon neutral as well. So we've managed to stay true to that ethos of, like, you know, treading lightly. But now we're not growing all of our ingredients. We just try to focus our attention on keeping everything as local as possible.
Love it. It's great. I mean, you have to expand, so it's one way to do it. But
the demand was there, so we had to fulfill it.
Yeah. I'm pretty keen to have a taste.
Yeah, cool.
So where should we start?
Let's start with the mid-strength.
All right.
So it's Session IPL, so India Pale Lager. So it's hops like an IPA, so like India Pale Ale, but using a lager yeast. So it's more like kind of cold condition, nice and kind of light, vibrant, but yeah, nice and clean and easy drinking, and at a very manageable 3.4% as well.
Smells very nice and too.
Yeah, so all Australian hops in this one, but yeah, nice kind of tropical hop profile.
Yeah.
Nice and finishes nice and dry, and yeah, nice easy drinking. Yeah. It's a drink that you can have a few of.
Definitely easy to have quite a few of these. Very easy drinking.
Yeah, definitely.
It's nice. Now that I've had my first taste, I want to find out what got Hamish into beer and brewing.
It's really interesting because we're in the middle of a wine growing region.
Yeah.
So I had in my mind that I'd maybe go and do wine. I mean, I did a few seasons and vintages down here growing up as a kid, just driving chaser tractors and basically helping out. I found beer really interesting because you've got 4 ingredients, and those 4 ingredients all play an incredibly important role in the finished product. So everyone overlooks water, but water is so important to our finished product. So the water chemistry itself plays a pivotal role in the end. I mean, 98% of our beers are water, right? That's the key ingredient. Then we've got our grains. As I said before, we're working with individual growers out in Coolin to get the best quality barley that we can possibly get with the lowest environmental impact. Then we've got our hops. Now, hops are an amazing plant. They contribute bitterness, they contribute aromas, they attribute to shelf stability as well, so antimicrobial activity. And then finally, yeast. It's a science unto itself. There's hundreds of different strains that we can use to create alcohol, but also to create amazing flavours.
So yeah, so much to play with and get creative with.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you've got an idea for a new beer, how do you come up with your flavour profiles that you want to feature?
So a lot of the beers that we do now are inspired by 2 things. One is what fruits are available seasonally to us here, and the second is what we know works in the culinary world. So we look at flavours that are commonly used together, and then we work out if we can transfer them into a beer and how they're going to transfer. So we have to make small tweaks and we have to make changes because we can't, for instance, make our beers overly salty, or we don't want to make them overly sweet either, but it's finding that balancing act so the bitterness is played out really nicely with all of the different flavours. So basically we take inspiration from food.
Well, thank you so much for showing me around today, Hamish. It's been amazing to see your operation here.
No stress. Thanks so much for coming out.
Time to test out the next brew with Rick.
Next beer is Pilsner, so kind of like a more old world traditional style. We base this off a kind of Czech Pilsner recipe, so it's nice and crispy, really nice kind of bready malt character, citrus kind of hop characters. You get more like a herbal kind of grassy, but then really like nice and balanced between that and the malt character. We call it the king of lagers, so it's definitely a favourite amongst the brewers who kind of just want something easy drinking. You don't have to think about it too much when you've knocked off.
That is really nicely balanced.
Yeah, that's definitely my favourite of our core range beers to drink like consistently. I often find myself filling my fridge with that one. Not that it's just a favourite for me personally, but I think really nicely balanced.
Yeah,
just easy drinking.
Definitely.
Well, that was delicious. Up next, we're going to check out the brewery and see where the magic happens. Catch you after the break.
So we're in Busselton here, but our brewery is located in Jindong, which is about a 15-minute drive from here, like a rural area between Busselton and Margaret River.
All right, Ricky, where are we?
We are at the brewery. So this is where we make all the beer. Basically, everything that ends up as a finished product starts here.
Wow, so this is the incubator for all of those delicious drinks.
This is ground zero for all the fine liquid that we put into cans and bottles.
Now, other breweries, they're like in industrial areas. We are in a different area here.
Yeah, so the brewery itself is based on a dairy farm. So we kind of keep it to just producing the beer out here. 100% off the grid, so it's run solely on battery power and solar. So above us, there's a absolute like butt ton of solar panels. And we store all the energy in batteries. It runs the whole brewery, basically. So.
Wow, because it's a pretty big operation. So to know that it's totally renewable energy is pretty amazing.
Yeah, so the last 2 years now, we brewed over 1 million litres of beer in the year. So there's a lot of beer getting produced. From the moment the beer is made here, we track all the miles and everything coming in. So we're carbon neutral through scope 1 to 3. So we basically make sure we track every mile that's getting put on the ingredients that come into us and every mile of our beer going out.
That's amazing, because that's not easy work to do. A lot of people might shirk it. You've gone the hard way.
Yeah, we obviously are really proud of that side of things. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Well, can you walk me through what we've got
100%.
happening over here?
Yeah, cool. So this side of the brewery is what we call the hot side. So we basically brewing the beer on this side of the operation. So we'll start with the mash tun, so all of the grain that we're using to build the base of the beer, whether or not that, that's our base malt or specialty malts, will go into the mash tun. From there, we basically put it into the lauter tun, which has what we call like a false bottom on it. So the grain stays on the false bottom on the floor, and we take the liquid out and transfer it to the kettle, where we'll boil it up. And that's where we'll see the first addition generally of hops. So hops, up until this point, don't really touch the beer until it hits the kettle. Okay. And as the beer boils, the longer it boils for, the more kind of complexity you get out of that malt. So some particular beers, like dark beers or stronger style beers, will boil for longer to build up that kind of complexity. And from there, it transfers all the way back to the whirlpool. Once we'll knock out from the whirlpool across to the fermenters, which are over here, which is that's where all the fun stuff starts happening, where we'll add yeast and then all the dry hoppings that will start from there. So any hops that we add on this side of things generally impart a little bit of aroma, but mainly for bitterness. And all the hops we add on the fermenting side of things, so like the cold side, that's where we'll get all those really cool kind of tropical citrus, all the expressions of hops that aren't necessarily going to create bitterness and such. So.
Wow, all right. Yeah, I had no idea that you've got 2 opportunities to put hops in.
Yeah, I'll show you the equipment itself and how we kind of go about brewing the beer. And then the vessels that we use to make it. So yeah, so this is all the equipment that we use to make the beer. The mash tun, lauter tun, kettles. We actually have 2 kettles that we run side by side. So it means that we can brew 2 batches of beer at once, really, which is awesome. So it helps with efficiency of making the beer in general. But yeah, so this is what we call make the porridge on this side and then turn it into beer over here.
Lovely. I love that cooking aspect.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a lot of grains. We use a lot of oats, locally grown oats as well in beers to add that body.
Yeah.
So yeah, we use a lot of kind of different specialty malts and whether or not it's different types of barley, some different kind of grains to build up bodies. Generally, you can hear there's always like different noises happening in the brewery. There's usually bubbling of beer, fermenting in the bucket. So we'll have the hose will run off. So you can hear just down to our left, you can see there's a very happy beer fermenting away. So the yeast is converting all the sugars and turning it into the alcohol component of the beer.
It's having a good time in there.
It is, yeah. They're little Pac-Men eating their way through all the fermentable sugars.
Nice.
Now, while we're in here, I thought I'd better have a cheeky taste, straight from the source.
So these are the bright tanks. So once the beer is finished fermenting, we transfer them over here. And I can show you some of the beer. This is before it obviously gets packaged.
It's like a sneak peek.
Yeah, and this is a really special beer for us. We release it twice a year. It's gained a little bit of a cult following. It's a beer called Rock Juice. So we brewed this really early on in the piece, and it's become definitely one of our more popular beers. It's a big hoppy beer, but yeah, really delicious.
And just twice a year this comes out?
Yeah, so February and November as a general rule. So there you are.
Well, I don't know if I've ever had such fresh beer.
This is about as fresh as it's going to get. So this is about a day before it's going to get packaged. So
my goodness.
Yeah, so really big, really hoppy. One of our most popular beers for sure.
What a treat.
Yeah.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
That is delicious.
10% as well, so it's got quite the punch to it.
Would never have guessed that.
Nah, that's the dangerous thing about it. It's claimed many a victim for that reason. So.
I bet. That's why it's twice a year.
Yeah, exactly. You don't do it year round.
So Rock Juice has 9 different types of hops, and just some of the flavors I'm getting are pineapple, passion fruit, berry, and even a touch of melon.
That is really delicious. So fresh. How can I buy this year round? I'm gonna have to order online.
Yeah, definitely. And get in quick, because it generally sells out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I bet. I can see why.
So now I've had one of their special release beers. I'm curious if they're particular about the ingredients they source for all of their beers.
Definitely try to get the best ingredients possible. There's been a lot of development within that kind of beer space. So a lot of breweries nowadays, we're just one of many. You know, there is a certain element where whatever's available is available, but you can go through steps to make sure you get the best ingredients possible. So we definitely try to do that. But yeah, thankfully we've got an amazing team of brewers who can make really tasty beers and just know how to get the best out of all our ingredients, which is awesome.
It is so far so great.
So we'll go for...
Alright.
So this one's Gin Nong Juicy. This has become probably our highest selling beer. Become very, very popular. It's named after where our brewery's located. This is like a more kind of New World modern hazy pale. So it's a kind of mixture of both American and Australian hops. For the last couple of beers that have been really kind of clear and transparent, this is more opaque. It's got that nice kind of like full body but really vibrant hop profile, and yeah, nicely balanced between the kind of malt hops and yeast, and let it all kind of do its thing and work in harmony. So there's like a little bit of sweetness from the malt.
Yeah, it really does live up to its name. It's quite a juicy mouth.
Yeah, so it's, and it kind of looks like juice as well. But yeah, it's become a very popular beer for us, and since it's kind of launched, it's become our biggest selling beer, which is awesome.
Yeah, I can definitely taste those citrus notes, but then yeah, it's really rounded out by that malt.
Yeah, and it's got like a nice kind of firm bitterness to finish, but not too like cloying or astringent. It leaves you kind of wanting another sip, which is the aim of the game.
Definitely. Now we're on to
Ace IPA. So we're ramping it up in terms of the ABV. This one sits at 6.8%, as opposed to the last beer we had was 5%. So this is named after our loyal brewery dog. So originally this beer was made as a American Pale Ale, so it was Ace Pale Ale. But we've changed it up to a West Coast IPA. So it's nice and kind of hop driven, but nice bitterness, kind of that balance between hops and malt to make it like a really nice full bodied beer. Definitely a big favourite. And
it's a lovely colour.
Yeah, so nice kind of like, and yeah, nice clarity as well. So it's more kind of like piney, tropical citrus, but then with like really firm bitterness.
That is very refreshing.
The idea is that everything's working in harmony and nice and balanced, so you don't have any kind of jagged edges, and everything's quite seamless on the palate.
Definitely, everything's going down really easily.
It's the danger. I used to live not far from here, and I'm glad that's not the case anymore. Otherwise, I've got a little bit of distance between me and the venue now. Otherwise, I'd be here more than I'd like to. But yeah, you got to go easy with that one, because the ABV can creep up on you a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely don't feel like you're drinking that strong of a drink.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it easy for a bit. See you after the break.
Whilst filming Last Drinks WA, our crew chose to stay at Mandalay Holiday Resort and Tourist Park. A unique beach resort located on the edge of the beautiful Geograph Bay, Mandalay has the ideal accommodation for your visit to the Margaret River region. Set yourself up on the powered caravan and camping sites, or book into a cabin or chalet for your perfect holiday experience. Explore the local area by bicycle, or stay on site and recharge by the pool. Whether you want to relax or pack your days full of fun, Mandalay has what you need. Book your stay today by visiting mandalayresort.com.au.
We're back on the farm, and it's time to learn a bit more about the different sustainability practices that Rocky Ridge implement.
We brew all the beer here, and it transfers up through here. These hoses connect up, they transfer across.
Wow.
And then it all gets packaged through there.
Amazing.
So when we're done with making the beer, when I was saying we're done with all the grain and stuff, we can dump that out and we feed it straight to the cows. So nothing's kind of leaving the farm in that sense.
Wow,
so
nothing's wasted.
Nothing's wasted, so we'll fill up these grain bins. They get taken straight out to the cows. And then, yeah, we're good to go.
Because when you first said dairy and brewing, I didn't really think there was a great connection, but that's a beautiful connection right there.
And obviously these are like big we're doing some expansions on our cool room, so these will all be coming online with the new cool room to keep all the beer cold. And yeah, all of our kind of battery power is stored here in this container. So yeah, all the energy that we get from the sun that comes off the solar panels there, it transfers into here where we store it all in the batteries. This is basically where we power the brewery from. That's how we generate all the power for our entire brewery.
And that's all coming from your solar at the moment. Wow.
Yeah. So we're not on the grid at all. Partly because of where we're located, but also by design as well.
That's great.
Just to give you an idea, there's 120 kilowatt of solar panels on the shed roofs and 150 kilowatt hour of battery storage. That's massive.
What an awesome commitment to green energy. Even the Glad wrap they use is biodegradable. Let's check out the final part of the brewing process.
So this is where, once the beer's finished fermenting and it's done all it needs to do, and we've done all the checks to make sure the beer's really good quality, we transfer it over here. These are what we call the bright tanks. So we put the beer into here where it carbonates and gets ready to go either into kegs, through the canning line, or into bottles if we're going down that way as well. This is basically where the beer finishes its journey and then goes into whichever vessel people are going to drink it out of. So yeah, this is where all the magic happens. So we get all of our cans come without lids, and then we will use the whole pallet at a time, and it runs through the palletizer here and then runs down through the canning line. Cans will come down here, get filled, and then the lids go on, and then they get seamed. Goes through our 4-pack holder applicator. We don't use any plastic in the packaging side of things, so the 4-pack applicator goes on, puts the cardboard 4-packs on, gets packed off here onto pallets, and then into the cool room.
Wow, yeah, that's an amazing setup that you can do that. And yeah, again, all powered by solar.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like the team in here are absolutely amazing, making sure the beer comes out with the best possible quality. So we keep a pretty close eye on the dissolved oxygen levels because that has an impact on the quality of the beer. So our team is awesome at making sure the beer that goes into the can is the best quality that it could possibly be.
Back to the brew house for our last tasting. After everything so far, I could do with a beer with a few less carbs.
All right, now this one looks really interesting. Can you tell me about the Rock On?
So it's a low-calorie, low-carbohydrate XPA, which is like extra pale ale. So given that a lot of our other beers are quite flavorful, this kind of dials everything back. Still like really easy drinking. And yeah, we call that the guilt-free beer that you can drink after a hard day lawn mowing or fishing or whatever it may be. The kind of everyday beer for the everyday occasion. Really easy drinking, but still really like packed full of flavour.
With cutting down, I mean, the colour still looks great.
Yeah, so we just use this kind of a base malt, so like a Pilsner style malt. But yeah, really nice and easy drinking, and something that you can have a few of in session. Yeah, that's the aim of the game.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's still a lot of flavour. You know, people might be worried that you lose a lot because you're cutting down, but it's a really nice mouthfeel. It's great.
Yeah,
tropical.
Yeah. Still like super vibrant. Definitely, you know, not as heavy in terms of that malt profile, and it just means that we can kind of get the maximum flavour out of it without stacking on too much weight in the process. That's the idea. It's probably being brewed out of and released out of keep everyone at the brewery in shape because we're all surrounded by beer. But obviously, there's a big push for that kind of, you know, those healthier options. But we can, you know, have that option for something that's a little bit healthier and still get all the flavours that you want out of a beer without the guilt.
So after you do a big day mowing the lawn, sit back and crack.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what the nickname for it is?
Yeah, so you can rock on all day. Obviously the rock side of things comes from the brewery name as well. Just something that you can kind of drink over the course of a couple of hours.
And not feeling like you're missing out on flavour or actually drinking a beer. Yeah, it's delicious. Thank you so much. Well,
my pleasure.
Thank you for walking me through the whole range, and
my pleasure.
Now I got to experience something very new too with this Rock On.
Cheers.
So cheers.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to visit this sustainable WA brewery, and I think there's still time for one last tipple.
I got the Mama Mango, which is a mango sour, which is pretty interesting, new for me. So I think I'm going to pair this with some delicious food out the back.
What an incredible day it's been. It's amazing to think that this beer I'm holding was created using energy from the sun.
What better way to top off the end of the day at Rocky Ridge Brewery with 4 meals for one person and this delicious Mama Mango Sour. Cheers to that.
Join me next week as I visit Cup Rum Distillery and make my very own gin. Plus, visit a breathtaking underwater observatory right here in Busselton. That's next time on Last Drinks WA.